I've never been a fan of dolls. I think it was the blank stares that unnerved me, but as a kid I hated them. I also hated that my mom would buy these creepy things to put in my room to make it look cute. One day my mom went out of town and brought back this creepy porcelain doll with long flowing hair. She named it Tiffany and told me to make it my new favorite doll. It had a white face with blue eyes and wore a blue dress. Its hair was shoulder length and curled at the tips. One night I was awoken to the sound of a girl crying. I sat up in bed and looked around my room. The only light came from the full moon shining through my window. It illuminated the whole room and made the shadows on the wall dance. I was just about to go back to sleep when I heard it again. The crying was coming from the corner of my room where Tiffany stood. I told myself it was just a dream, but then the doll started moving. She stepped off the shelf and onto the floor. Her head turned slowly until her eyes were fixed on me. I wanted to scream but couldn't. Then she began to walk towards me. Each step she took was silent and graceful. My eyes followed her every move as she glided closer and closer. Fear paralyzed me. I couldn't move or speak. All I could do was watch in horror as she approached my bed. She reached out a hand towards me. Her fingers were long and slender, like the legs of a spider. I recoiled in terror, but there was nowhere to go. She climbed onto the bed and sat down next to me. Her eyes never left mine. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My throat was dry and my heart pounded in my chest. Then she spoke. Her voice was raspy and cold like the grave. "Do you want to play with me?" she whispered. I shook my head frantically, but she didn't seem to notice. A wicked grin spread across her face. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I won't hurt you." With that, she reached out and grabbed my hand. Her touch was ice cold. I tried to pull away, but her grip was like iron. "Let go of me," I screamed, the word catching in my throat. She only tightened her grip. "Why are you so scared?" she asked, her voice a mocking whisper. "I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to be your friend." She leaned closer, her breath hot on my neck. "Don't you want to be friends, Tiffany?" I choked out, struggling to break free, but her grip was too strong. "Of course I want to be friends with you," she hissed. "I want to be your best friend forever." She squeezed my hand, her grip crushing my bones. Pain shot through me, but it was quickly replaced by a strange numbness. I looked down at my hand and saw that it was already black and rotting. I screamed, thrashing about in bed, but Tiffany only smiled. "Don't worry," she said, her voice sweet and innocent. "It's going to be fun." The last thing I remember is the feeling of her cold, dead eyes boring into mine. The next morning, my mom came into my room and found me lying on the floor, my body contorted in a horrifying grin. The doll was sitting on the bed, her eyes gleaming in the morning light. "Oh, my God!" my mom screamed, rushing to my side, but it was too late. I was already dead, my soul trapped in the ghastly doll forever. As children, we always find some peculiar joy in playing with dolls. Even though they're completely inanimate, expressionless objects, we still manage to make them our confidants, sharing our deepest secrets with those lifeless button eyes. But what if the doll you played with wasn't as innocent as it seemed? What if it was harboring malevolent intentions, using its porcelain skin and waxed canvas smile to lure unsuspecting children into its wicked games? Here's a creepypasta about a scary doll that will make you never look at your plaything the same way again. It all started when Emma's family moved into the old Victorian house. The home had belonged to her great-great-grandparents, and it came with a whole host of antique toys and furniture that had been passed down through generations. Among these relics was a doll, a beautiful porcelain doll with long flowing hair and a dress that looked like it had just come from a fashion show. Emma's mother warned her not to take the doll out of the attic, but curiosity got the better of her and she brought the doll downstairs. That night, Emma woke up to the sound of whispers. At first she thought it was just a dream, but then she heard it again. The voices were coming from the corner of her room. She turned on her bedside lamp and saw the doll sitting on her shelf staring at her with its glowing red eyes. Terrified, she screamed and hid under her blanket until morning. As the days went by, Emma began to hear strange noises around the house, footsteps in the attic, whispers in the walls. And every time she turned around, she saw the doll with its malevolent grin. One day, rummaging through the attic, Emma found an old diary. It belonged to her great-grandmother, who had lived in the house over 100 years ago. As she read through the diary, Emma learned about her great-grandmother's strange obsession with the doll. She had treated the doll like a living creature, talking to it, feeding it, and even taking it on walks in the garden. But the diary also revealed a dark secret. Great-grandma had a twin sister who had died under mysterious circumstances. And as Emma read further, she realized that the doll had once belonged to her, and it seemed to be the source of her sister's madness. Determined to break the curse of the doll, Emma took it back to the attic and locked it in a chest. But that didn't stop the whispers. They only grew louder, more insistent. Then one night, Emma woke up to the sound of screams. Her mother's voice echoed through the house, desperate and terrified. Rushing to her parents' room, she found the doll on the floor, its eyes wide open, its mouth twisted into a horrifying snarl. And in the corner, her mother was huddled on the floor, rocking back and forth, chanting in a language that sounded ancient and evil. Emma knew in that moment that the doll had possessed her mother. With a sob, she reached out to touch her mother, but as soon as her fingers made contact, she felt a jolt of pain shoot through her arm. The doll's eyes flashed red, and she could hear its voice, raspy and cold, whispering in her ear, promising her unimaginable power if she gave in to its embrace. But Emma refused to let the doll consume her. Instead, she ran from the house, not stopping until she reached the safety of a nearby church. As the sun rose, casting its golden light over the town, Emma knew she had to return home. The doll was too powerful to be left unchecked, and she was the only one who could stop it. Taking a deep breath, she walked back to the house, ready to face whatever horrors awaited her. As a kid, I used to think that all dolls were possessed by demons. This isn't one of those stories where a demon is possessing a doll to use it as a vessel. Instead, this is a story about a doll who was created by a demon as its vessel. I was browsing the internet one day and came across a forum where people were discussing their scariest childhood toy. One person posted a picture of a handmade doll, which looked very creepy. The post was from 10 years ago, and the image had been heavily compressed over time, but I could still see the details of the doll clearly. It looked like a girl dressed in a Victorian nightgown. Her arms were stretched out like she was trying to hug whoever was near her, and her head was twisted at an unnatural angle. The caption said the doll was made by the poster's grandmother, and it always felt like the doll was watching them when they were playing. I messaged the user and asked if I could use their doll as inspiration for a story. They said yes, and also told me that the doll was kept in their family home. I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread when I heard this. To me, it seemed like the doll was cursed. I didn't want to touch it, let alone had it in my house. But I liked the idea of writing about it, so I messaged the person again and asked if I could come over and take a look at the doll. They said sure, but warned me not to touch it. I arrived at their house and they took me straight to the attic where the doll was kept. It was in a locked glass case, and I could hear chains dragging metal moans whenever I walked past it. The doll was even creepier up close, and I tried not to look at it for too long. Its eyes were black pits and its smile was stretched to white across its face. I asked if they knew how old the doll was, and they said their grandmother had made it sometime during World War II. They also said that many people had tried to destroy the doll, but it always ended up coming back. No matter how many times they tried to kill it, it just kept coming back. This was beyond creepy to me. I thanked them for letting me come over and I returned home. That night I had a dream about the doll. I was being chased through a dark forest by the doll. It was moving incredibly fast and it kept turning its head to look at me. I remember thinking in my dream, why is it looking at me? And then I woke up. The next day I started writing the story. I wrote about a young girl whose mother was killed in a car accident. The girl's father then married a mysterious woman who brought a creepy doll with her. The story was basically a retelling of the events that I had experienced. As I wrote, I could feel myself getting more and more disturbed. By the end of the first draft, I was terrified of dolls. Now I know that what I experienced wasn't real, but I don't think the doll was just some ordinary toy. There was something sinister about it, something in the way that it moved. Even though it was just a wooden carving, it almost felt like it was breathing. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. But you know what? I'm gonna keep that to myself. If word got out that I was writing about a haunted doll, I'd be laughed out of town. People would say things like, "Oh, he's just trying to promote his new book." Or maybe he saw a horror movie recently and is trying to cash in on it. I know what I saw and I know what I experienced, No amount of criticism will change that. I finished the story and sent it to the person who posted about the doll online. They haven't replied yet, but I don't think they need to. I already know that they know what I'm talking about. Anyways, thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoy it, please subscribe for more content. Also hit the bell icon so that you can be notified when I upload a new story. Thank you.